tsunami-generating earthquake that struck in Russia's Far East. Learning more about the gunman who shot and killed 4 people at a Manhattan skyscraper this week before he took his own life. The NYPD commissioner says the suspect claimed to suffer a brain disease linked to contact sports and blamed the NFL, which has its executive offices in the building where the attack took place. Ahead of today's Federal Reserve decision on interest rates, the Fed is expected to leave the interest rates unchanged. Wall Street futures are positive. The Dow futures trading about 11 points higher. The Nasdaq futures ahead 32, S&P futures 4 points higher. More details at srnnews.com.
A couple years ago, I was in the bathroom at the airport when I dropped my smartphone in the toilet. Not smart. I was multitasking when I should have been focused on the job at hand. Embarrassing, but I'm not alone. According to Google, 7 million other multitaskers accidentally dropped their phones into the bowl last year. A gentle reminder that right now you can get yourself a brand new Samsung Galaxy A36 absolutely free with a $35 plan from Pure Talk. The A36 comes with scratch-resistant Gorilla Glass and a battery that'll last all day, along with unlimited talk, text, and data on America's most dependable 5G network. In other words, it's tough and smart. Something to think about next time you're multitasking and the necessary. Just dial pound 250, say keyword micro to get your free phone today. You can make the switch in just 10 minutes. That's pound 250. Say Mike Rowe to switch to a no-nonsense smartphone and a company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
Your home for Goodland High School athletics. Fort Hays Tech Northwest Tech Tiger basketball, the Denver Broncos, as well as the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer. You're listening to Goodland's Rocket 102.5, KKCI FM, Goodland Colby, an NWKS radio station.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
It's time for the Logan County Fair, and the Farmers State Bank of Oakley is proud to be involved in many of the events. Look for us clerking the 4-H food and livestock auctions, operating a ride at the Home-Owned Carnival, and participating in the parade. Remember to support our local 4-H members by viewing their projects at the fairgrounds, and be sure to arrive early at the carnival each night to take advantage of discounted wristbands sponsored by the Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community since 1907. Member FDIC.
Today, cooler air will move in with north-northeasterly winds at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Highs 80 to 85 with overnight lows around 60. The stationary front in eastern Colorado extending into Kansas from Tribune to Norton will be a mechanism for afternoon and evening storm development along and south of I-70 and Highway 40. There's a marginal risk of severe storms, but more likely just below, with wind gusts around 60 miles per hour, small hail, and minor locally heavy rain. Tomorrow and Friday, cooler air will sit over the area. Highs will be 75 to 80, lows in the upper 50s and low 60s, and winds will be more east-southeasterly at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Disturbances off the front range will bring evening, overnight shower, and non-severe storm chances. Saturday and Sunday, a weak ridge will build over the Rockies, leading to warmer southerly flow. Temperatures in the upper 80s and low 90s should stay dry. This meteorologist Chris Romick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The insurance agency. Insurance the way it should be.
Summer is heating up, and Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby has everything you need to make the most of it. Tame that lawn with top-notch weed and feed from Ultimate Fertilizer, and keep those bugs away with powerful pesticides. Plus, Ego mower blowers and trimmers to get that job done fast. Fire up some summer flavor with a Traeger grill or a Blackstone griddle, and if you're building a fence or even fixing a sprinkler, they've got the building materials and supplies to keep your projects moving. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, your summer project headquarters.
Craving something delicious? McDonald's has you covered. From hot, fresh breakfast to juicy burgers and crispy fries, there's something for everyone, any time of day. And don't forget to try our classic McCafe coffee or refreshing McFlurry. Visit us in Colby, Goodland, Burlington, and Lamar for fast, friendly service and the flavors you love. Drive through, dine in, or order ahead on the McDonald's app. We'll have it fresh and ready. McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Big deals are rolling at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Drive off in a 25 GMC Sierra 1500 with $3,750 purchase allowance or 0% APR for 36 months and no payments for 90 days. Upgrade to the Sierra 1500 Denali and get up to $5,750 off or 0% for 36 months. Or go big with the Sierra 3500 Pro. $2,750 off or 3.9% for 48 months. Don't wait. Stop by Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland today or shop online at hurlchev.com.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4! It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
The amount of money getting thrown around to quarterbacks who haven't done diddly squat is amazing to me.
The High Plains only local sports talk show.
Knows what he's talking about.
Broadcasting live on Rocket 102.5 and streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Not this again.
Yes, this again.
Covering it all from the preps.
Fastball swing and a miss and a strikeout there for Kaysen Cedarstrom.
To the pros.
Mahomes keeps it on an RPO at the 5. Gets a lead block. He goes into the end zone near side. Touchdown, Kansas City.
The Blitz is presented by Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank. Along with the insurance agency, the Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
Driven pretty well to deep left center field. Stephen Kwan looking up, and it's out of here. Kyle Farmer with a touch 'em all time. It's the third solo homer of the night for the Rockies.
And Isbell lines it to the gap. And a bad route by Profar in left field turns a 2-run double into a 3-run double.
Swinging a high drive out to right center. Watch this one fly. That is way back there. It is gone. Durant just spanked it. His 10th home run of the year. That caught the facade out there. Red Sox lead at 5-0. Their second home run tonight.
Happy Wednesday morning, everybody. We are off and rolling on this July the 30th. That's right. Second to last day of July here in year 2025. August is banging on the door. That is a fact. August is coming right around the corner, which on a sad note means kind of the return to school. I mean, no offense to teachers and stuff and all that stuff out there, but I mean, back to school for the kids. And I mean, parents are probably pretty happy about that, obviously. But at the same time, back to school. The sports season, though, gets ramped up, which is great for sports talk radio. I'll tell you that much. It becomes a challenge this time of year, as I've said many times before, to find different things to discuss and talk about. And so we'll get into the month of August here in a couple of days. It'll still be a little slow for a little bit, but we'll start ramping things up here in the month of August. But so glad you decided to join us here on this Wednesday, no matter if you're tuning in on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Or, of course, the old-fashioned way, Goodland's Rocket 102.5, or listening on your phone or mobile device with the NWKS, well, not NWKS radio app. We don't have an app anymore. It is actually just nwksradio.net. Go to the website there. I know that there's been some listeners I know from time to time that have asked me, what the app, the old, it used to be the old Rocking M app, maybe not in operate. It works in some forms, it doesn't work in others. The best way to if you're looking for an app, just a free shout out here for an app. I use the Simple Radio app. And so if you look for Simple Radio, you can download it, and then you can listen to any radio station in the world on that. If you just know the letters, KKCI or KRDQ, you can find it, and then you can like it, and then that'll be saved as your favorites, and you can go back and listen to those as long as they are streaming. So yeah, that's how I go about doing it. Anyway, today, a Wednesday, after a wonderful little afternoon shower, evening shower yesterday, some cooler temperatures are on the horizon for the next couple of days, and some good chances of some rain as well. Anywhere from 30 to 40% chance of precipitation now today through Sunday. And like I said, cooler temperatures, really, really great temperatures, honestly, for about the next week or so. I mean, temperatures going to be in around either the upper 70s to the low 80s for the next 5 days to a week. So some beautiful weather today. We're expected to be 80 degrees, sunshine. Right now, 67. The current temperature outside the KKCI studios here in Goodland. Today's program, we're going to talk a little junior college basketball. We'll be joined by Darren Spence. He's going into year number 3 as the head coach of the Colby Community College women's basketball team. He will join us and discuss what they've been up to. Getting ready for year number 3 there in Colby, looking back at year number 2. So Darren Spence will join us coming up in segment 2 here in just a little bit. I mentioned yesterday that Chris Kleiman, Kansas State head football coach, had a question and gave a nice little spiel about Goodland's own Lincoln Cure. We'll play that audio for you coming up in segment number 3. But in segment 1, I would like your help, always on the FB Bank text line at 785-899-2222. If you feel obliged to do so, would love to get your thoughts on this question, where today's opening topic is going to be about the NFL. And the question is, would you prefer your team, no matter what it is, the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Cowboys, whatever it may be, would you prefer, what is more important? Is it having that talented youth, those great draft picks that come up and play really, really good before, probably the age of 25, those younger guys, 25, 26, or having that experience, those 3, 4, 5 years of experience, or even older guys than that, having that experience? What is more important in the NFL? Is it talented youth? Or is it experience? And this question comes from an article that came out of ESPN yesterday from Aaron Schatz. He was ranking the NFL team's talent under 25. And so he went through and he was going by this standard, number of starts made by players under 25, number of snaps played by players under the age of 25, quality of plays by players under 25 years old, value and length of contracts, draft value added in the 2025 draft, all these kind of different things he brought into. So I was interested. It was interesting to see, who is, the team with the most talent. Who is the team with the most talent, especially of youthful talent, and then who has, who's a little bit of an older team. And it was interesting to see who came in last place, because it's a regional team. And so the question, once again, I came up with was, what's more important in the NFL? Is it talented youth or experience? In the case for youth, you're going to get the speed, the athleticism, those type of guys that, it's a faster game than ever in the NFL. Younger players usually bring that elite speed, agility, and probably even more durability. They've got those younger bodies that can withstand a little bit more from time to time than some of the older bodies like yours truly that breaks down, water skiing, all that kind of embarrassing things. But nonetheless, speed and athleticism wins a lot of games this year. Another reason for talented youth would be, rookie contracts are cheaper. I mean, you're not going to spend as much because of the rules that are put in place. You just don't have to spend as much on rookie contracts. Heck, you look at and then giving teams the room to build around them. And you definitely see that in the NFL. I mean, that's what this is a prime example of that right now, going into 2025 for the NFL football season, starting here in a couple days. We're actually starting tomorrow with the Hall of Fame game, if you want to count that. I mean, it is football, kind of. But you see that exactly with a team over in the capital city in Washington, because they have a second-year quarterback, second year of his rookie deal. He is probably, and he in his rookie season, he leads them all the way to the NFC Championship game and plays really, really, really well. Now he goes into year number 2 on that deal. And even last year when they went out and they got a lot of pieces, and had, like the Austin, you saw guys from that made big impacts at other teams. Yeah, they might be getting a little bit older, but, like the Austin Ecklers was one of those. And then, of course, his play brought up the play of guys like Terry McLaurin and stuff like that over there did Daniels, the quarterback for Washington. But now here in year 2, they're doing it even more. They're adding more pieces. I mean, just recently, I think Von Miller signed to go. They're adding more pieces. They have, because of the cheaper rookie deal that he is on, they can build around him for the future for a couple of years. It happened with the Chiefs. It's happening with the Broncos right now. It's happening there. You've got these quarterbacks on rookie deals. You are allowed to spend more money, because when the bank comes calling here in a couple of years and those contracts up, and you want to keep those quarterbacks around because you like what they do and you got to have a quarterback and it's the most important position in all of sports, you're going to have to pay them like that. And that means you're going to spend more money on them and less on the rest of the team. So cap flexibility, certainly a case for talented youth on what is more important in the NFL, talented youth or experience. Game changers right away. That's another thing that's been interesting, especially over the last decade. When you say that you're seeing more and more, and I guess even probably this is more on the quarterback side of things, you've seen it lots of places, but guys like CJ Stroud, Micah Parsons, Justin Jefferson, they were young stars who were pretty much stars right from the gate, right from the go. They came, they were drafted, they came, they played their first year, and they were really, really good. And so game changers right away is another case, I'd say, for talented youth. And to an extent, another reason why, another case for talented youth has been the change of kind of the way the NFL has gone in the direction, especially on offense, when it comes to offensive systems and schemes. I mean, we're seeing way more spread style offenses, RPOs, run pass options, athletic quarterback play like Jalen Daniels and stuff for guys to get out and move and run. And they favor the young athletes who've grown up in these systems. They've played them since they were pretty much in junior high and high school. They go to college, they play kind of a similar spread style system. You just don't see a lot of teams out there in the NFL that are truly, a lot of teams in college, I should say, playing a pro style scheme anymore. There's some out there, don't get me wrong, but there's not a ton. And so the NFL game has, for the longest time, it was the college game needed to adopt to the pro game. Well, now the pro game is kind of adopting to the college game. And I think, honestly, it's better for professional teams to do that, because you're able to bring in these very talented young pieces at quarterback, at wide receiver, the spots, and you can plug them in and they can play right away and make an impact. So there's a lot of key things for having a very talented team in the NFL. So what's more important in the NFL? Talented youth. There is the case for that. Or is it experience? And with experience is the wisdom. You've got a lot of things with that. You've got guys that have been there before. They've seen it. They know what to do. Veteran quarterbacks and defenders know how to manage the big moments. Whether you look at like Mahomes, been there, done that. Stafford, Rodgers, they've all been at these spots where there's been pressure. We got to go down. We got to have a 2-minute drive here. We got to find a way to get in field goal range, send this overtime. We've got to go down and score. Guys, there's the case for that experience is having those type of guys, because, the younger guys haven't been there. Not that they can't do it, but you feel better with the guy that's been there and done that. They're ready. They're poised under pressure. Football IQ, another big reason for experience, I would say, in the NFL. because you're understanding coverages, you understand tendencies, you know, situational awareness, and it comes with all the reps and not practice reps, in-game reps. You know, you've been around the block, you've seen things. Like one of the guys that I think about, he never ages. Well, he does age, but he just continues to keep playing. Is like Levante David, the linebacker for the Buccaneers, former Nebraska Cornhusker too, by the way. He was, it was also, I think, a Fort Scott JUCO college guy as well. But he's been in the NFL for an extremely long time. And think about all the knowledge and all the wisdom that he has when he steps on the field this coming year. I mean, he is a linebacker in one of the more difficult positions and physically demanding positions in all of sports. Going out there, tackling, taking on blockers, defending pass plays, you know, dropping into coverage. It's a very difficult job to play linebacker, and particularly in the NFL at the highest level. And he's been doing it now, I think, for like probably, I was trying to think, it was probably, you know, it has to be almost 14, 15 years he's been doing it. That's amazing to me. First of all, to your body to hold up like that, kudos to you and in the nutrition and weight department. But then think about that, because you've been out there and you've seen all these different things, you've got such a great football IQ. And some guys are born with it. You know, they're blessed with it. They understand. I remember Luke Kuechly, retired linebacker for the Panthers. A guy that, you know, if there was a great podcast he was on, he was talking about how he diagnosed plays. I mean, you got to go back and watch that. If you love football, it's unbelievable to watch Luke Kuechly go up there and how he dissected a play, because he knew if this happened, then this was going to happen. If this didn't happen, then that was going to happen. He knew from all that stuff. So football IQ, not that you can't have it as a young age, but the more experience you have, the more knowledge you know. And so that would be a case for the experience. Experience, you would hope, will lead to great leadership and locker room culture. Another talking point here, but experienced players can mentor young guys. You hope they do. And they help stabilize your team. So leadership in your locker room hopefully comes from your older guys. Not saying that it can't come from the youth anymore, but younger guys, sometimes I understand, and I totally get why. It's hard to lead as a younger guy. You know, you don't want to be going out there and telling guys what to do and how to do it and all that stuff. You don't want that. You know, you'd like to maybe lead by example early and then use your voice. And hopefully, like I said, the leadership above you is good enough to handle that. And maybe a little bit of a smaller one, but another case for experience, playoff success. You know, the postseason often favors those who have been there before, done that, been in the playoffs. It helps them to have more success in the postseason if you've been there and done that. Kind of goes once again to pressure and experience in that. You know, you usually feel better about guys with playoff success. But saying all that, and once again, the topic of the day, what's more important in the NFL, talented youth or experience? I would say, even though experience is humongous and it is needed, I tell you what, talented youth can sometimes perform really well under pressure. Some guys have really great IQ despite not maybe playing a lot. They just are naturally born with it. Some guys are naturally born great leaders. Playoff success, yes, it's great to have those veterans and stuff, but you can have young guys. The biggest key, I would say, and this is once again Ross Volkmer hopping on the fence here, but the teams that have the best mix of both are the ones that are probably going to have the most success. And it is pointed out so greatly here in this article, once again from ESPN, talking about the ranking every NFL team's talent under the age of 25. And if you go down here, so I looked at it this way: what teams have some really good young talent, and what teams are really old and don't have a lot of good young talent. Have not good young talent, but don't have the young talent. Maybe they have more experience. And who are right in the middle of the NFL? Well, the two teams that played for the Super Bowl last year. The Chiefs coming in at 13 and the Eagles coming in at 14. To me, that tells me in this ranking system that they have got some really, really good young pieces. Really good young pieces, but they also have some great experience as well. On the other end of the scale, like the Houston Texans, for example, who are the top team when it comes to, once again, the most talented team with the 25 and under. You've got the Houston Texans right there ranking number 1. They were there last year. They're here again, once again, with guys like C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson and Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter, all those guys coming in there at number 1. Then you have teams like the Seattle Seahawks, the Washington Commanders as well, still a pretty young football team. The New York Giants and the Chicago Bears are all top 5. Those are all really good. Sorry, not all. Like I said, the Seattle Seahawks weren't great, and the Giants are maybe one of the worst teams, and the Bears have been great, but they have the talent. I mean, I think usually it's the teams that have, once again, they have that great culture in the locker room because of the older guys that have been there and done that. In the case of the Chiefs, the Chris Joneses, the Travis Kelce's, the Patrick Mahomes, they've been there, they've done that, they know how to do it, they know what it takes. You have that mixture constantly showing the younger guys that they bring in, and the Chiefs have done a great job bringing in young pieces for many draft classes. We talked about with Jesse Newell yesterday about how, they take these guys, and they've become so good at evaluating talent. It may not be the most talented player in the world, or maybe not the best available, but they know what's going to fit their system, and they come in there and they cultivate all that, and it becomes a really good team. So same thing, I think, for the Eagles, which once again is why you see them in the middle of this list, because you see guys, a great mixture of young and a great mixture of old. An interesting factoid, though, here is that number 32, when it comes to the team with really no players whatsoever in that, and the players that are younger, under the age of 25, according to this list, it's the Denver Broncos, dead last. Now, they had a couple of guys that just recently moved on, Pat Surtain, Riley Moss, Bo Nix, Nick Panino, guys that graduated out of that 25 and under there. That's one thing about the Broncos, especially in the case of Bo Nix. He's young in experience, but in age, he's older. I mean, he was in college for, seems like, a decade. And that hasn't slowed him down. That doesn't mean you're going to be a bad team if you don't have any youth out there. Honestly, I mean, if you could take your pick and say, well, we're going to have a team full of young guys or a team full of old guys with the experience and stuff, you probably take those guys, the older guys, unless they're 35 and older, if they're all a bunch of Travis Kelce's out there. No offense to Travis Kelce, but you don't want a team full of them. You'd like a few of them, but not a team full of them. But I think in the Broncos case are just in a unique position because they have some younger guys when it comes to experience in the NFL, but they're older human beings. So I don't know. There's no way it's an exact science. Like I said, in my opinion, I think you kind of want to be in the mix of both. You want to have that talented youth that you've drafted and you're developing in the first couple of years, and they're able to perform and be really key players for you as youths, but you need that experience. And where you really need the experience, to be completely honest with you, is offensive and defensive line. You have to have it. If you're going to have success in football, the adage is you got to get old and you have to stay old in the trenches. And you want those guys that have the experience. They know how to perform. They've seen it all. They've seen all the moves. They know all that stuff. And they're able to protect your quarterback or get after the quarterback. So if in a perfect world, if you could have a very experienced, defensive and offensive lines, maybe a few pieces of youth on the defensive line for great pass rush and linebackers there, you'd be set. But I know it's an interesting topic. Once again, what is more important in the NFL nowadays? Is it talented youth or experience? You can make a case for both, as I kind of did. But the best part is, I think the best teams like the Chiefs and the Eagles, who played for the Super Bowl last year, they are in the middle of this list, which to me says they've got the perfect mix of both. Let's go to listener Michael. He hit us up on the FA Bank text line during our first segment here. He goes, talented youth is his pick because they're going to turn into talent experienced players with experience, success, coach at the helm, just like the Broncos have now. Go Broncos, of course. Thanks, Michael. It's talented youth. I would say if I had to lead one way, I'd probably go with that as well, particularly in today's NFL. Maybe not 10 years ago or 15 years ago, but certainly because systems have become more college-based and guys can come out of college and can perform right away because they understand the system more. It used to be really hard for guys to come out of college and play in the NFL because they just did not understand the systems very well. But that has changed here a lot recently in the last 10 years. And that allows youth to be more explosive and provide more of a spark for your team than it used to. Remember when you go on draft day and you'd be like, oh, that's great, we got that guy. We're not going to see him for probably 2 or 3 years. It was kind of like Major League Baseball. We drafted this guy. We'll see him in 5 years. It's different now. Guys in the college level of baseball are throwing 95, 100 mile an hour or hitting, bombs all the time. They're moving up the ranks rather quickly. Some guys are. They're only in the minors for maybe half a season, a full season, and then up after that. Look at Jack Caglione, for example. So, I know. Youth has certainly made a push over the last 20 or so over the last 10 years or so of showing that they are just as good as guys that are experienced because the systems allow them to show off that explosiveness and that youth and that talent. Okay, let's get to our first break right here at around 7:31 Mountain, 8:31 Central Time. When we return, we are going to visit with Darren Spence. He is the head women's basketball coach for Colby Community College. He joins us next here on The Blitz.
It's time for the Logan County Fair, and the Farmers State Bank of Oakley is proud to be involved in many of the events. Look for us clerking the 4-H food and livestock auctions, operating a ride at the Home-Owned Carnival, and participating in the parade. Remember to support our local 4-H members by viewing their projects at the fairgrounds, and be sure to arrive early at the carnival each night to take advantage of discounted wristbands sponsored by the Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community since 1907. Member FDIC.
This is Logan County Fair Week with the home-operated and owned carnival on the Midway. Fun fair activities all week like this Friday, cornhole tournament, sand volleyball, a beer liquor tasting fundraiser for the Fair Board with Tall Grass Liquor. Also this Friday at 7 p.m., it's their ATV rodeo for side-by-sides and four-wheelers. Then Saturday night, the 13th annual Great Close Memorial Demolition Derby, paying out $23,000 in prize money. Going to be a lot of drivers in for this one. The Logan County Fair runs this week in Oakley.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
This is Austin Wright with the Anderson Trade Group in your morning market update. The current time is 8:06. At the pause, September 25 corn, $3.89. December 25 corn, $4.11. March 26 corn, $4.28 and a quarter. September 25 KC wheat, $5.17 and a quarter. December 25 KC wheat, $5.38. March 26 KC wheat, $5.58 and a half. August soybeans, $9.77 and a half. November soybeans, $10.06. January 26 soybeans, $10.24. Moving on to the broader markets, the Dow Jones futures are up 24 points. S&P 500 futures are up 7 points. NASDAQ futures are up 50 points. Gold is up $41.90. Crude is up 27 cents. For your grain marketing needs or more information on our freedom pricing tools, you can reach the Kansas City office, Jared Law, Tyler Gish, Tom Saludo at 913-748-3000. In Colorado, John Hankey and John Stiles at 970-744-4484.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades. Insecticide with an insect growth regulator, now available in a convenient quart size, designed for empty bin treatments to help you store smart and make every kernel count. Contact Maya Butler at bugfreegrains.com to learn more.
You're tuned in to the Morning Blitz.
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
With Ross Volkmer.
Once again, it's another very busy week kind of in the tri-state area with fairs and other events going on. The Wallace County Fair continue to roll along. Logan County Fair as well. Tomorrow, the Tri-State Antique Tractor and Thresher Show going on up at Bird City. That gets going there. So, yeah, plenty of things still happening in the area. And, boy, going to have some beautiful weather for it as well. I know there's been some years that that tractor steam show's been going up there at Bird City. It's like 105. So, and around all those steam tractors and get hot. So good to have that be a little bit cooler temperatures here thanks to the moisture that came through the area last night. All right, let's go to the phones. Our guest of the day is the Colby Community College head women's basketball coach, Darren Spence, who joins us now. Coach, good morning. How are we doing today? How's the summer been?
Well, it's been busy, but it's been good. You know, the older you get, the faster it goes by. But
that's
it's
a
been
fact.
Good. It's been good. A lot of road time out recruiting, but it's been pretty good. How about yourself?
You know, it's been good. I couldn't agree more with you, though. It feels like every year as you get older, it just gets faster and faster and faster, and the summer's gone before you even blink. It's just the way it goes.
Right.
Coach, before I dive into kind of the offseason a little bit, I wanted to we had you on last year in the middle of the year. You guys were having a really good resurgent year. You ended up finishing 16-16. You got a win in the first round of the postseason last year and ended up losing to Hutch in a low-scoring, hard-fought game back there in early mid-March. When you look back and reflect on last season, and you've been a coach for a long time, when you compare it to other year twos that you've had, how did that one stack up, and how do you feel about last season when you look back at it?
Well, a couple thoughts. I thought it was pretty fulfilling. You know, we brought in, we only brought a couple kids back from year one, and we had some good freshmen join us, and then brought in a couple transfers. So getting that group to gel like we did and develop the chemistry like we did was pretty good, and that was pretty satisfying, but also frustrating because, you know, we won more games. We got to we won a playoff game, which hasn't happened in some time. And then we got to go play second round at Hutch, who's the defending national champion. And, you know, to be good, you got to have a little luck. And we had some bad luck in that game. We were actually winning the game. Our sophomore point guard, Sophie Bennett, got her nose broke. Couldn't play the rest of the game in the second half, and you could just kind of feel and see the game slipping away from us. Not to say we would have held on and beat them because they're pretty darn good, but we gave ourselves a chance. So it was a pretty fulfilling year all in all.
You know, you've been a part of a lot of, programs where you've kind of had to build things up, and in comparison from in previous stops, how did that year two stack up? Was kind of right on par with how things have gone in the past for you?
Probably like all the others have gone, but this one's a little different because when you hear coaches in your league say to you, well, dang it, now we have to prepare for Colby. That means a lot. And I share that with our kids, and it makes them feel good, but because we know we're doing good things. And we're right on track with what we inside the program can do, what we can control. And so the big key is just to get good people and learn how to work together.
Darren Spence is our guest here on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline, talking about Colby Community College women's basketball. What is the biggest key as you get set, as you're trying to transition into year number 3? Once again, going back to that experience that you've had in building back up programs.
Well, it depends on, are you at the 4-year level or 2-year level? But since we're on the 2-year level, do you have quality people in your returning class? Do you have playing experience coming back that you can count on going into year 3? And we have that. We have 6 returning players. 4 of them played a lot for us. We're a big part of it. The other 2 had a really good spring, so I'm excited to see what they'll bring into year 3. We brought in 3 transfers. I wanted to stay older. The games that we didn't pull out this last year was just basically because the other teams had a little bit more experience and were a little heavy in their sophomore class. So we're a little older. The experience factor should be on our side. It's going to get down to, how our we do philosophy kicks in and how we get on the same page and how soon that happens. But, non-conference schedule, we only get 6 non-conference games in this league. And that's it's difficult at times, depending on who your team is, figure out where you're at. But, our non-conference schedule a little bit more challenging than it's been in the last 2 years. So we've got to come together pretty quickly, but we feel good about where we're at.
Coach, a big picture question for you here. You've been in this game a long time and been coaching a long time. How do you feel like women's basketball has changed over the course of your tenure of coaching?
Well, I in a couple different ways, good and bad. The bad part of it is there's fewer girls playing basketball in high school. I always, a lot of them go into volleyball where you don't get hit playing volleyball. The physicality has improved a lot, and that makes some not want to play it. But I think overall the skill level's getting better. The size of the young females is drastically changing. The girls are bigger, and it's kind of like on the men's side. A lot in the women's game want everything now that the men's side has now, but you got to take it, look at it a little bit differently. And men's basketball has been going a lot longer than women's basketball in the college levels. So we have to evolve, and we're evolving. I think the shooting's getting better. But we want to make sure that from the young age, we can, help young girls play basketball and get in good situations where the game can continue to grow. Now, if you're watching the WNBA, they're going through a trying time, challenges, jealousies, bickering, that kind of thing. And it's kind of sad to see that because we want our game to grow and we all need to be behind it, pushing it for all the right reasons.
Darren Spence is our guest, Colby Community College head women's basketball coach, joining us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline on this Wednesday morning. You talked about, you've done 2-year and you've done 4-year. What do you enjoy more and why?
Well, in the NCAA, the rules are and they're so different now than my years in Division I and Division II basketball. JUCO, I'm able to make a greater impact with younger kids. What I like, we're able to spend more time with our players at 2-year level, 4-year level. By the time your kids are juniors, if they're in their 3rd year with you, it's kind of like, I've heard that, been there, done that, and their attitudes change, and young women, their needs and their wants change each year as they get older. A lot of girls, you see them play in high school, and they're really, really good freshmen, sophomores, and then their interests change. So maybe they're not quite as good as at juniors and seniors, which is kind of an interesting phenomenon, but that's kind of how it works. So at our level, our kids are coachable for the most part. They're the ones we recruit. They want to be coached. The young females want to please their coach. They want to give you all they have. And so in the relationship building process and getting to know these young women, I'm able to coach them as hard as I want. Like last year's team let me coach them as hard as I needed to because of just the relationship building process. And so I like that element of the JUCO level for sure.
Darren Spence continue to join us here this morning, talking some women's basketball. I'm sure after year number 1, and struggling to find the win total, it was hard to go out and recruit. How much easier was it to go out and recruit after a really good second season?
My president asked me that too, and I said it really didn't have anything to do with it. Because of the long-standing tradition that some programs have, or if you're in a situation where you're trying to start a foundation and develop some tradition, which is where we're at, it's still to get better, you need the better players. And so you're trying to recruit the better players, but now you're starting to get in competition with some of the better programs. And that happened to me when I was at New Mexico State University, happened to me at Newman University also. You're trying to get better, so I need some of those kids. And so what we've done, and our strength here is, I've gone back to a little, old school JUCO rule where, last year we had 7 players on our roster from the state of Kansas. And that's important to me. Our league kind of went away from that. Back in my earlier years, we could only play 5 out-of-state players and then 6 and then 8, and then it went unlimited. Well, I think you build the foundation with your in-state kids because they know the schools, they know the league, and they're pretty good basketball players in the state of Kansas. There's really good high school coaching. When they get into your college program, they improve so much and faster because they're not going to their volleyball or their cross country or tennis or whatever's in the the first part of the high school year. So those Kansas kids are important to us. We'll have 5 Kansas kids this coming year, and then starting in the class of 26, our league put in a 25% rule on our letters of intent have to be from the state of Kansas. So that means every program is going to have 4 Kansas kids from here on out, and that's going to bring a lot different competition just for those good in-state kids. But I think that's where we've built our foundation, and we'll keep growing with that.
If you could pick, would it be 25%, Kansas kids, or would you rather it be flipped around and be 25% out-of-staters and the rest Kansas kids, if you had to take your pick?
Well, it's I don't think it's that easy to answer. It depends on where you're at, and where your location is. And where we're located, it's much harder to get the more Kansas kids, I think, and so and the better talent from Kansas players. So there's so many schools here in Kansas, Division I, Division II, JUCO, NAI. We're all recruiting the same kids. So for us, I think having more out-of-state kids is more beneficial. But if I'm Hutch and I'm in Butler and I'm in Johnson County, Kansas City, in those areas, I think it would be the other way around.
Darren Spence continue to be our guest here on the Morning Blitz. Colby Community College head women's basketball coach going into year number 3. Coach, what were some of the needs that you needed to address this offseason in recruiting, and how did you go about getting that done?
Well, I wanted to get more depth. I think you can develop depth, but if your talent level is a little bit better, that helps in that regard. So we wanted to get deeper. We want to get some more shot makers. Everybody will tell you they're a shooter, but are they a shot maker? And we have such a good sophomore class that our new players needed, our freshmen coming in. We went after some good guards, and I think we got them. We're not overly big, but the way we play, I want to be able to put 5 players out there that can do everything, be interchangeable, and the way we can, do different things defensively and offensively. But pretty much our shot making ability was our big need, and I want to say we've done that, but we'll see once the competition starts.
Yeah, you never know until the bullets start flying, right?
True, and we're always a good defensive team. We're one of the best in the country, and so I know that's going to be there. But it's within the flow of our offense. Can we step up and make shots? And that's the name of the game. The last time I checked, you got to be able to score, and when you score, it really makes the game a little easier for you. So that was a huge target for us.
How challenging is it at times? Like you said, you're such a defensive-minded team, and I would love to ask you, kind of first and foremost, what makes a really good defensive team, or how do you mold a really good defensive team, and how can it be challenging when you get teams or kids that are in that maybe are really good scorers of the basketball, and maybe they don't want to focus as much on defense? How do you go about getting them turned into that direction?
Well, first of all, it's your demands, the standards of your program. I live by the Lou Holtz quote of "If you allow it, so it becomes." You could be a really smart coach, but not get your players to do anything. And so I think the sign of a good coach is what I or the other coaches can get their players to do, not so much what I know. It's just something we work on, and we emphasize the defensive end. And I think offensive players, they see the value in it because, I mean, let's be honest. The kids who can score the best usually have had the ball in their hand the most when growing up, and their ball handling is usually the best. And so they can see the big picture of the game, that if I can defend just enough, coach will keep me on the floor, and then I can score. So it's a delicate balance for sure.
One more for you, Coach. What's on the docket here? I know you probably just got a couple more days, honestly, maybe a week or couple weeks left before kids start moving back into the dorms. But what's on the docket here as you kind of get set to bring kids back? And then what's kind of the early portion of, September, late August like for your team?
Well, our kids will all arrive August 15th, and we start classes on the 18th. So I've been busy on the phone with our recruiting for the class of 26 last few days, just been doing that, trying to set up visits and but making sure all our players have all their documents and paperwork and whatever they need for the school year, whether they're our international kids or American kids. It's just a lot of double checking, getting our gear stuff. Adidas has been really good for me, for about 19 years now. And they take care of us. So just making sure all that stuff that is ordered. And then we've got a new assistant coach coming in, Lauren Carmack, and getting her acclimated and adjusted. And she's from the Denver area, played at Sterling College, and was the assistant there for a couple of years, and was their JV team coach. And we played them last year, so I got to coach against her, but I really liked how she handled her team. So getting her moved here, that's kind of the next on the to-do list also. But making sure our players have been, doing their workouts over the summer, and we'll know once we get started. And then we got to go early. I call it Camp We Do. It's our conditioning for a few weeks. It's not easy. They'll be sore, and then we just get everybody through that and then into our basketball routine.
The list never ends. It just continues to get longer and longer, no matter how much you check it off. Darren Spence, Colby Community College head women's basketball coach. Darren, thank you so much for taking some time. Really appreciate and we'll talk to you here as the season gets closer.
Yeah, thank you. Anytime. I appreciate you. Once
again, great stuff there from Darren Spence, Colby Community College head women's basketball coach. An interesting point there about Coach Spence. If you think about it, there's a lot of coaches that could be in this league, that are younger, they're trying to kind of get going. But he's one of the guys that's been around and seen a lot of different things, and that's real advantageous there for Colby. All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back. We will wrap up the show with some Lincoln or some audio from Chris Kleiman on Lincoln Cure. That's next here on the Morning Blitz.
Summer is heating up, and Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware and Ultimate Fertilizer, and keep those bugs away with powerful pesticides. Plus, Ego mower blowers and trimmers to get that job done fast. Fire up some summer flavor with a Traeger grill or a Blackstone griddle. And if you're building a fence or even fixing a sprinkler, they've got the building materials and supplies to keep your projects moving. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, your summer project headquarters.
Big deals are rolling at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Drive off in a 25 GMC Sierra 1500 with $3,750 purchase allowance or 0% APR for 36 months and no payments for 90 days. Upgrade to the Sierra 1500 Denali and get up to $5,750 off or 0% for 36 months. Or go big with the Sierra 3500 Pro. $2,750 off or 3.9% for 48 months. Don't wait. Stop by Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland today or shop online at hurlchev.com.
Goodland, Kansas, get ready to rumble. The 2025 Northwest Kansas District Free Fair is bringing the heat August 2nd through the 10th. Ranch Rodeo? Yep. Demolition Derby? You bet. Hunter Drone Light Show? Absolutely. Plus livestock shows, carnival rides, free concerts, and barbecues all week long. It's action-packed, family-friendly, and free. Don't miss another day in paradise at the Sherman County Fairgrounds. Full lineup at nwksfair.com.
Catch up on all the latest headlines, scores, and interviews from the region. This is the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer, your daily dose of sports.
Thanks again to Coach Spence for joining the program today. Appreciate that interview with him. He's exactly right, though, right off the bat. Talking about how the summer, it seems to get shorter every year. Boy, that is a fact. And I can only imagine being a coach trying to check those things off the list, recruit, get your assistants all in order, get everybody moved in. That's got to be a lot. I can totally understand that. All right, before we wrap up the show here today, I did want to get to some audio that was from, I think it was Monday. Monday, Chris Kleiman met with the media. Was talking about the football season as they were kind of getting camp rolling. I think they were already into a week of camp, so it's kind of a weekly camp update. And he was asked about Goodland's own Lincoln Cure. And here's what Coach Kleiman had to say on the first week for Lincoln being in camp.
Well, I think mentally, just like all of our freshmen, you're swimming a little bit because it's a lot of install in a short period of time. Luke Wells tried to get him up to speed as much as he could in the summer, but our summer was a lot shorter than it typically was. So I'm confident that Lincoln throughout fall camp will continue to learn. He's with the biggest veteran group we have in the tight end room, and they all are putting their arm around him and helping him on the mental side of learning what we're doing. You can tell the physical skills are out there. You can tell of a guy that can really run, that can go and catch the football, that can be physical at the point of attack on contact. It's the technique part of it. But Link's, I think he's 240 pounds. So, I mean, he put on some great weight from the end of track season to where we're at now.
I'll be fascinated to see if Lincoln plays in the first half of the season at the tight end spot. I could really see him more and more. I could just really see him more and more being split out or kind of standing up on the, kind of like Travis Kelce, for example. I don't know. We'll see about him having hand in the dirt thing to start. I could just see him being more of a guy that go out to be a pass catcher or a threat in the red zone. We'll see. But no doubt about it, he has certainly put on some good weight. I mean, I'm sure he was down to maybe 210, 215 for track. And so to put on that amount of weight to get to 240, that's impressive. And that's got to really impress the coaches to get that done in just a couple months. He's done a great job with that, but we'll see. So far, everything's shaping up good for Lincoln Cure, and Coach Kleiman seems to be impressed with what he's seen from the 5-star from Goodland. All right, we're out of time. We're already, believe it or not, we got to get to the walk-off, which we'll get to right now.
High drive, deep left, grand slam, and back lifts his ball deep to right. How about a walk-off three? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Rockies dropped game 2 in Cleveland last night, 10-4 to the Guardians. Kyle Manzardo, 2 home runs, driving in 3. Jordan Beck, Michael Tolio, homers for Colorado. How about Warming Bernabel, staying hot, 2 for 4 with the double. He's batting .400 in his first 4 big league games. This guy's got a hot bat, and he needs to stay in the lineup there for the Rockies, who try to win this series. They've split the first 2. They will try and win this series with Kyle Freeland on the bump. First pitch, 4:40 Mountain Time on KLOE. And the Royals, they get a nice win on Tuesday with a 9-6 victory at Kauffman over the Braves. Kyle Isabel, the biggest blow on heard audio, the highlight on the intro, but bases clearing 3-run double. Vinny Pasquantino also 3 hits and a homer. And so rubber game of that series this afternoon, 1:10 Central Time. Early first pitch on AM 790 KXXX. And so long, Rich Hill. The 45-year-old lefty got 2 starts. He has been designated for assignment. And so he went 0-2 with an ERA of 5. He did tie the record for the 14th big league team he pitched with, but he is gone by Rich Hill. I mean, it's kind of amazing. Why'd you bring him in anyway? Just to see what he had, and you learn that, well, he's not that great, or he's kind of what we thought we kind of thought he was what we thought he was going to be. Bye-bye, Rich. I don't know. Seems kind of interesting that they went that way, but hey, whatever. Got to do your thing. All right, that does it for the program. Thanks to Darren Spence. Thanks to you, as always, for tuning in for this program. We're back again tomorrow on a Thursday in 23 hours. We'll talk to you then. Have a good one. Been the Blitz.
Classic rock plays here. This